Italian Football Podcast.
So it's deadline day today, as we said, and what I want us to do is just go through some of the biggest transfers that we know have happened or are happening on deadline day, and just react to each one quickly. So first of all, let's do Juventus. So the big deals for Juventus are Luis Openda and Edon Zigrova joining Juve from Leipzig and Sevilla, respectfully, and Nico Gonzalez going to Atletico Madrid. Now, I think, as you said earlier in the show, this gives Juventus more depth in attack. It gives them more offensive firepower. My only question marks with this are Juventus play a 3-4-2-1. So they play one striker, one number 9. Vlahovic is a number 9. David is a number 9. Openda is really a number 9, although he can sort of play a little bit.
It's a bit like Colomwani, isn't he? He can play and kind of cover in both.
Well, sort of. I mean, David can drop deeper a bit as well, although he hasn't shown it very well so far. So my question mark is it in a 3-4-2-1? Is it basically 3 players playing for one position? That's my question. And if you were to play a 3-4-1-2, are those players that can actually coexist together? Again, I'm not sure. So that's my only question mark with the Openda. With the Zigrova deal, again, this is a winger. This is a right winger playing in an inverted winger system. So where do you play him? You play him in a 2. Is he? I mean, Conceição is really a winger. He's been playing in an inverted role, so he's not playing in his ideal role. Or does Tudor want to have the option of playing? So my only question marks, I guess, are tactical, really. Kind of where do they fit in tactically and positionally? That's my one concern with that. But in terms of the depth and in terms of our own options, I really like Zigrova at Lille. He destroyed Juventus in the Champions League in one game. I saw him absolutely I can't remember who he was up against. He was playing left back for Juventus that game, but he had a field day against Juve when in the I think it was a 1-1 draw last year. So that's my opinion on that. Donnarumma to Man City. Now this is an interesting one. As we speak, Rino Gattuso has just confirmed that he's passed the medical before Man City announced it. Donnarumma to Man City. I think this is a great move potentially for Donnarumma if we want to kind of believe that he can improve the one weakness of his game, which is his ability with his feet. It's going to be a really interesting one to see whether a goalkeeper at the age of 26, who's 6'6" or whatever he is, and really is awful with his feet, if Guardiola can suddenly make him into somebody who can pass the ball, who can play the ball out from the back, then Guardiola is a genius. He's an absolute genius. But I mean, I think it's a good move for Donnarumma, because after the way that he was left with 2 to 3 weeks of left of the window, and Luis Enrique really hung him out to dry, and he's desperate to find a new club, and he's managed to find a club as big as Manchester City. I think that's great. I think that's great for Donnarumma. It's great for the Italy national team, because otherwise we're looking at a player that's going to be on the bench for the whole season in a World Cup year when we need him. And he can challenge. Okay, City have made a bad start to the season, one win from 3 games in the Premier League, but he's playing for a top club. So I think it's a good move for both Donnarumma and for Manchester City. Manchester City are getting the best goalkeeper in the world, best shot stopper in the world, and nobody can argue against that.
I'm not so sure if this is a good move. I'm glad that he's leaving. I'm glad that he's left PSG. I thought that situation was bizarre, although I don't think Luis Enrique was to blame for that. I think that's more down to PSG as a club. I think Luis Enrique as a manager, as every manager does, has the right to decide which player he wants to go with and how he wants to do and change his mind tactically. And I don't think Luis Enrique really did much. I think the fact that even happened is poor dirigenziale. It was bad sporting directorship, bad structurally by the club. it should never have come to that situation that Luis Enrique has to come out and say that. It should have been resolved in a much better way. It wasn't. But him going to City, I don't know, because where are City now? Yes, they have big players, they have big stars, but they don't seem to me as a team, as a unit, as sound structurally as a Liverpool or Arsenal. And I think defensively as well, this, Akanji is going to leave, and there's some other question marks about them defensively as well. What are Man City? Is Guardiola going to stay? How long is he going to stay? Are they content with not winning the Premier League and winning nothing again? Is that good for Donnarumma? I don't think so. I feel like City's entire project is a little bit in limbo, and that's why I'm not too happy about Donnarumma going to City. I would have preferred if he had gone to an Arsenal, or if he had gone to a Liverpool or a Real Madrid, or, do you know what I mean? Just from a point of view of where that club is, or a Bayern Munich even. I would have preferred if Donnarumma had gone there. I think there's so many question marks around Manchester City and Guardiola.
I agree with all that, Nima. I agree with all that. The problem is that he was found in a situation in the middle of August where he needed to find a new club, and where was he going to go? Who needed a goalkeeper? Even City didn't need a goalkeeper. They had Ederson, but they managed to work out a way to sell Ederson and bring in Donnarumma. I mean, he didn't have any other alternatives. There was nowhere else to go unless he went back to Italy. Even Italy, really, there was only probably Inter that needed a goalkeeper, and we know that financially it's just impossible to do that deal unless he wants to throw away his chances of playing in a major European level, let's say. Sorry to say that, and earn the money he probably deserves as the best goalkeeper in the world. So I think that given the circumstances, I think he's done well, is what I'd say. Are City the best club? Are City a club that can probably win the Champions League this year? They look a bit off it at the moment. They do. They look like they've got issues, like you said. So I think that at the end of the day, given the circumstances, I think it's a good move, and it's important for Italy as well. And he might have a lot to do as well, City, more than expected. Milan, Nkunku, that was done a few days ago, and Rabiot joined in on deadline day. I think it's an interesting one. I think that Nkunku and Rafael Leao, if they can click together, it's going to be a lot of fun watching those two play, because they're good players to watch if they're on it. That's the question.
Yeah,
if they're on it, they're inconsistent.
And also in a counter-attacking team, which Allegri is mainly, the space to attack. And I think it's going to be lots of fun. I think these are clever moves by Milan. I think these are intelligent moves. We'll see what happens with Jimenez, and I wonder if Jimenez doesn't end up on the bench when Leao is fit, and he continues to play Leao as a number 9, and that's why I kind of had Leao. And I had him, Jonathan David, and Rafael Leao as my potential capocannoniere. I don't know how injured this injury with Leao. I've not seen anything conclusive as to how bad it is, but if he can come back and start playing regularly, I think he could score a hell of a lot of goals, and so could Nkunku, without a doubt.
Yeah. Just as we're talking, this nothing might come of this, but let's get your opinion on this, just in case it does. Inter are in talks. Manuel Akanji from Manchester City on loan. I think whether he's the right man, but they probably need ideally, maybe they watched that game last night and decided, you know what, we need to bring in a centre back. Or, and I think this would be a mistake, this is my opinion, if they're bringing in Manuel Akanji as an extra defender, then great. If they're bringing him in as a replacement for Benjamin Pavard, then it's almost like you're bringing in one experienced defender for another, aren't you? You're not really.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Yeah, but there's a difference. The difference is that Akanji is more of a central defender, isn't he? I mean, Pavard is a right centre back, and they're going to move Bisek to the right and play him in the middle. I think that's the idea.
I mean, I think he can play all three, but if you ask me who's more naturally suited to playing right centre back, I would say Pavard is more naturally suited.
But the issue is, Paolo, but the issue is to move Bisek to right. to the right. And I think the issue is then to alternate Bisek with De Vrij to the right as a right centre back, and have Acerbi and Akanji alternate the centre back. You've got Bastoni, Carlos Augusto as left centre back.
Right.
I think
Okay.
that's the thinking here more than anything else.
I've always liked the Kanji. I've always thought
I know you have, and
I've
I
always
think
liked him, but he didn't.
great
He
at
wasn't.
City.
He wasn't great last season, and there's always the questions marks of he's only 30. There's always the question marks of is he maybe starting to
I think
decline a little bit? We don't know.
As far as profiles go, I think he's the right profile. I think him and Soler are the right profile. Bisek should not be in. I mean, I've always flaunted the idea of seeing Bisek play as a centre back, but that was in an Inzaghi system. This is no longer Inzaghi's team. So I'm not. I don't want to see him centrally there. I don't think I think I'd rather see him as a right centre back. And then I'd rather have Akanji there in the middle. I really do, because I think Akanji brings leadership and experience. And if it's only on a loan, 1 year loan, that's fine, because next summer Inter gonna have to buy a central defender because Acerbi's leaving. Mkhitaryan's gonna leave as well. So they need to do something there. But if they can put a stopgap on Akanji for a year and have him, De Vrij, Acerbi alternate in the centre back, have Bisek, and if it's Akanji or Stefan De Vrij to the right or whatever, then that's manageable, because next year Jan Sommer is probably going to leave as well. I mean, Inter need to overhaul the defense and goalkeeper position, and that's probably going to be the focus of the next two windows.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, and if there's any other late deadline day transfers after we record this, we can talk about them in the Q&A later in the week. Jamie Vardy to Cremonese. Come on, Nima. What do you make of this transfer?
As I said already, Vardy party in the Serie A. I mean, how can you not fall in love with that? I mean, I want to see what the Cremonese fans, what kind of chants they come up for him. And I mean, of course, he's not, this is one of those fun
They've come up with one already. They've said they've already been chanting Vardy, take us to Europe. But that's what they've been.
No, but I mean like something more, some form of
chat shit, get banged.
Yeah, chat shit, get banged, or they do something, some chant, which is some sort of variation of Jamie Vardy's having a party, bring your vodka and your Charlie kind of thing. I mean, it's one of those. That's the one I'm looking for, to see if they do some version of that in Italy. It's going to be hilarious. And Davide Nicola on there as well. And you know what JB Vardy does? He's a workhorse. And he's very concrete, and I think it's going to be Cremonese are going to be very fun to watch this season, and I don't think they're going to get relegated. I think they look too stable. It's crazy. I think this is absolutely crazy, and it's probably Davide Nicola's greatest miracle yet, if he pulls it off.
Vardy's 38 years old. It's mad, isn't he? He's got shares in Como, and he's playing for Cremonese, and you'd think retire, but he's got a contract till 2026 with an option to 2027 if they stay up, they don't get relegated. I mean, it's a great story.
It's a wonderful story. And Cremonese is not too far. It's in the north of Italy, isn't it? So Cremona.
Let's have a prediction. How many goals will Jamie Vardy score in Serie A this season?
I think between 5 to 10.
Oh, really? As many as that?
I think he's going to have between 5 to 10 goals. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a starter. He's going to be a super sub.
If he gets between 5 to 10 goals, that's a brilliant return, given that it's going to take time to get him fit as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Winners and losers of the Serie A transfer window. What we'll do is we'll each pick a winner or two each and a loser or two each, and I'll go first. So winners, I'm going to pick, first of all, Napoli, because they kept Antonio Conte, which many people forget now because it's so long ago, but that is the most important transfer of their entire window, was to keep Antonio Conte. So that's crucial. They've kept all of their first team from last season, the key players. Yes, they sold Victor Osimhen, but he wasn't there last season, and they sold Raspadori, but he was a bench player or a squad player. So they've kept all their important players, and they've strengthened their squad so much. They've got so much depth now in every single position and department of the field. The only negative is the injury to Lukaku. That's the only negative that they got. Otherwise, it's been almost a perfect almost the perfect window. And Dan and Doy. If they'd have got Dan and Doy, it would have been the perfect window for Napoli. So they're a winner for me. Who do you have, Nima?
No, I have Napoli too. I think Napoli getting Antonio Conte to stay, getting paid for Osimhen the way that they did, financing and getting everything they wanted to do. I think Dan Ndoye is probably the only one, but I wouldn't. I mean, at this point, would you put it like if they went after someone like Ademola Lookman last minute kind of thing? It would be the icing on the cake. But of course, we know that Atalanta don't want to sell in the Serie A. So no, I can't be. I think for me, I have Napoli, and also I think Milan have had a good window. I know they get a lot of stick and a lot of criticism, but I think Milan have had a very good window in the if these last two deals that you mentioned, Nkunku and Rabiot is done.
Nkunku's done.
Yeah, exactly. Rabiot for me is key. If they get those two done, I think they've had a good window.
Well, they're trying to sign a centre. They're trying to sign a centre back as well.
And they need one, but I think they'll be fine. Look, I think they've had a good window. I think Milan have had a good window. I think Juventus is like the talent they have up front is also very impressive. No, I'd say for me it's Napoli and Milan.
I think the jury's out on Milan, but yeah, for sure Napoli. Losers. I've got two losers. Right. First of all, this is an easy one. Assuming he doesn't move, I don't think he is going to move. It's too late in the window. Atalanta can't get a replacement this late in the window. So it's not going to happen. But you never know. Ademola Lookman's the loser. Him himself, Lookman. You know, he wanted that move to Inter or to a big club. He hasn't got that move. He's stuck at Atalanta. He took a big gamble to go on strike. It didn't pay off. He now comes back. He's got to be reintegrated. We'll see how that goes. Can he be reintegrated? What's his relationship going to be like with the squad, with the fans, with the club? How motivated is he going to be? He's going to turn 28 soon. By the time he has the chance to get a move, he's going to be in his 29th year, or he's going to be, nearly 29 next summer or next year. So I think, yeah, Lookman is a big loser.
For me, it's two. It's if we just clubs. Atalanta is a loser, and I think Lecce is a loser. I think Parma are losers. I think all the clubs that have lost. I mean, for me, Parma and Lecce have already discussed why they are losers on the transfer window. They have not strengthened, and it looks like they're almost preparing for Serie B. So that's not very good. And Atalanta, I think we have to say they are losers on the transfer window. It doesn't mean that they're going to have a bad season or not be able to do something in Europe and so or whatnot. But they're not better than they were. And the way that losing Retegui and not really replacing him, I don't think Kristovic is that much of is more of a rotation player more than a replacement.
Yeah, he's a downgrade, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not an upgrade. Yeah, it's not an upgrade on paper, and also above all, the Lookman situation, which is as much Atalanta's fault as it is Lookman's, and they're going to lose out on.
And also Juric. I know we disagree over whether our ability, but you can't. I don't think you would even disagree that Juric is a downgrade on Gasperini.
I don't think he's that much of a downgrade. I think that's it's a different manager. They're cut from the same cloth in terms of identity. It's just that one is more attackingly balanced and the other is more defensively balanced. I think it's yes, of course, Gasperini, what he did at Atalanta for the last 9 years is historic. It's an unbelievable achievement. It's one of the greatest achievements and stories ever in Italian football. Let's be honest about that. So, of course, whoever is going to replace someone like Gasperini is always going to be, it's always going to be some form of a downgrade and there's going to be some form of a hangover. But I don't think it's that much of a downgrade. I think that's a bit harsh.
Well, time will tell. My other loser of the window is simple. Football. Just football. Football full stop is the loser of the window. And it's to do with the Premier League spending. Before everyone starts moaning and all the Premier League fanboys all start bombarding, especially on TikTok, which seems to be where I get most of the abuse and hate.
I love TikTok. There's so many stupid, crazy people on TikTok.
It really is the platform of Prem faces. TikTok.
Yeah,
it really is. It's like It is a place to go for Prem faces.
Prem face central, yeah.
It really is.
But it's funny. I love it.
Twats
It's
top
funny.
is what it is. Premier League, right? I'm not blaming the Premier League in general.
It's not their fault.
I'm bemoaning. It is to an extent, but not all their fault. It's also our fault. Well,
yeah,
it is sort of their fault. It is sort of their fault. They let in criminals and states into their
they do that
into their league. Well. So I mean,
they do that in Italy as well. They do that in Italy as well. They do that everywhere. I can't blame the Premier League.
They do it everywhere, but there's levels. There's levels. There's the first and second level bad boss, and then there's the final level bad boss.
Well, I think it depends on what
chopping up heads in
genociders being promoted and loved and said. I mean, we don't need to go there, but. Yeah, it's let's just say that they are evil. When it comes to money in football, it's dirty. Football is dirty. I don't blame the Premier League for being as good as they are, but the spending is a problem. The
spending is a big problem. Yeah, the Premier League has spent over €3 billion in the summer transfer window, over 2 billion more than Serie A. 1.5 billion net spend in the Premier League compared to Serie A and the other major European leagues, whose net spend was all close to zero, or in some cases, and for much of the window, the Serie A net spend was in the green. The Premier League is 1.5 billion in the red. So that is the difference. That is the gap between the Premier League and Serie A and all the other major European leagues. This is a summer where basically every Premier League club has just gone berserk with their spending, and the relegation and promoted teams from the Premier League beating the top Serie A teams in spending and to players. You've got, just to give you a few examples, you've got Nottingham Forest beating the champions Napoli to Antonio Conte's #1 summer transfer target, Dan and Doy. You've got Sunderland outbidding Milan to sign Granit Xhaka. You've got Burnley beating Roma to Florentino Luis. Burnley, a team that just got promoted. Brighton signing Diego Coppola. The Premier League is the Super League, as we've said so many times. And club football, I'm sorry, club football is completely destroyed. There is the Premier League on one hand, and then you've got every other league now in Europe, which is a penny pinching or bankrupt feeder league. It really is as simple as that. And you know what? If you thought Serie A was bad, try and be a Bundesliga supporter during this transfer window. Have a look at every other club other than Bayern Munich. Even Bayern Munich's pretty depressing because Bayern Munich missed out on all their top targets because they all went to Premier League clubs or to other clubs, right? Have a look at all the other major teams in the Bundesliga. Bayer Leverkusen, totally ravaged, lost every single one of their big players to the Premier League. Have a look at Leipzig, have a look at all the other Dortmund, have a look at all the other top teams. The Bundesliga completely ravaged by the Premier League. They've lost all their, pretty much 90% of their best players outside of Bayern Munich, and they've all virtually all gone to Premier League teams. That's just that league.
Can I just say, well, told you. I mean, it's just when the European Super League came along and all you football revolutionaries were saying that football was saved. Well, told you this was the only way to stop it. The European Super League would have been the only way to stop this. Well, congratulations. You played yourself. It's over now. It's finished. It's done. Wait until they launch their own subscription service. Then that guarantees them to always have money and TV revenue coming in until the end of time.
Well, I think that's guaranteed. It's guaranteed already. It really is.
You'll see this too. You'll see this too. I mean, it's over. It's finished. They've won it, and the others can. It's over.
It's already all over. I don't agree.
Yeah, but that was the last hope, and if the last hope was also to counter them at some level on different ways of monetizing, but no one did.
The problem is though, everyone was the point now, Nima, where you can't.
Yeah, but everyone else was saying. Yeah, but let me finish. Everyone else was at the time was saying no. This is the European Super League will kill the soul of football and this, that, and the other. Well, what did you think was going to happen when you have Like Galliani said, we needed a Brexit in football. He was right on that. And instead, we didn't get that. Instead, we've gotten, and UEFA is the Champions League is going to, that's next. Like, if they think that they can survive the onslaught from the Premier League, they don't know what they're talking about, because the Premier League is going to swallow up financially even the Champions League. And when UEFA don't understand the leverage they have in that, the Premier League clubs need these European away nights in football more than European football needs them to a certain extent. And the fact that they didn't understand that, and that they didn't leverage this to their advantage to balance out, is going to kill them as well. And they
it's going to kill them. But remember is that UEFA is owned by England and the Premier League.
There is that as well. But
they're owned. So
No, but my point is this: that what people didn't understand is, but they've got all the money and you need to play ball with them. And it's like, but at the same time, they need European away nights. If you had completely left them out of it, and you created with the three big teams in Portugal, the three big teams in Germany, 3 big teams in France, the 5-6 big teams in Italy, all these big teams you created, and you'd gone and created the champion. You'd leave the Champions League to be the 4 teams from England, and then Norway and Romania and whoever else. That would have destroyed it. They need these away games. And they missed
the chance. Unfortunately, the Super League was sadly executed with an idea to make it disgracefully executed with a closed shop. If it hadn't been a closed shop, it could have worked. But they did a closed shop, and at the end of the day, the solution was, you've got a disease, we're going to give you a poison to treat your disease. It's an analogy that could be used for something else a few years ago. So I mean, that's not a way of solving a big problem by feeding poison. Unfortunately, they executed it badly. It was amateurish.
They could have, if they had executed.
And unfortunately, we missed the chance. We've missed the chance. And now, to come to your point, where you can't monetize something that's not sellable. And unfortunately, European football outside the Premier League is not sellable now. And as much as we sit here sometimes and we criticize, without any doubt, some of the absolute incompetent idiots that run Serie A and how clueless they are, we've also got to acknowledge that they're now trying to sell a product which really doesn't have much interest around the world anymore. And it's hard to sell TV rights to something, and this, people listening to this might think, oh my God, these are the Italian football podcasts and they're shitting on their own product. Well, I'm sorry, but we're being honest here. I've just read out to you the numbers here. How the hell can Serie A, any league, possibly cope or compete against a league with spending 1.5 billion net against your virtually zero? You can't.
I'm seeing now that
people don't want to watch that anymore. People don't want to watch the Champions League anymore because they're not going to want to watch, one-sided matches between, Anyway.
Yeah. No, look, in order to fix something, just on that point about us, slating the Serie A and the stupid people that run it, the incompetent people that run it, well, it's because in order to fix something, you have to first admit that there is a problem to fix. And when a lot of people don't even want to pretend that there is a problem to fix, why would we pretend that everything's great when it's not great? That's the point. And yeah, we love Italian football. We'll always love Italian football, but it doesn't mean that we have to pretend that it's perfect when it isn't.
No. Let's just to finish off on this segment, best transfer of the summer in Serie A. I'm going to go for Kevin De Bruyne.
I mean, I went for one of Kevin De Bruyne and Petar Sucic. I think Petar Sucic is going to be one of the signings of not just in the Serie A, but in Europe. I think he is the talent that he has. And already we're seeing just him showing some of that is at the age of 21. It's fantastic. I think he's one of those players, unfortunately, that Inter players enjoy him while you can, because if he's fit, he will go to a Real Madrid or a Premier League side for 100 million euros in a 2-3 years.
Worst transfer of the summer. I'm going to stick with what I said last week or the week before. I'm going to stick with Luis Enrique.
Yeah, same. Luis Enrique. It was a signing that was brought in for Inter to play a 3-4-2-1 under Simone Inzaghi, and a part of that was Ademola Lookman. Now they got Christian Kivu, no Ademola Lookman, but they have Luis Enrique. Well done. Congratulations, everyone involved. Well done. You must be proud of yourselves.
All right, let's zoom through this final segment on the mercato. Let's grade the mercato of each Serie A club. Marks out of 10, Nima. So I'll read out the name. You reply with a number out of 10. I'll reply straight after to that with my number. Okay. So Napoli.
7.
8. Inter.
6.
7. Juventus.
6.5.
6.5. Okay. Milan.
7.
6.
I think 7.
6 for me. Como.
6.5.
7. Roma.
6.5.
6. Fiorentina.
6.
6.5. Lazio. No mark. Lazio. We can't mark them.
Senza voto. Yeah, this is impossible to mark. Yeah.
Atalanta.
5.
4. Bologna.
4.5.
4. Torino.
6.
6 as well. Genoa.
5.5.
6. Udinese.
6.
6. Cagliari.
5.5.
6. Sassuolo.
6.
6 as well. Parma.
1. I mean, what the hell is this? Is this mercato? No Leoni, no Zone, no Boni.
2. I'll give it a 2. Hellas Verona.
5.
Yeah, 5 for me. Cremonese.
6.5, 7, somewhere there.
I'm going 7. And finally, Pisa.
You forgot Lecce.
Did I not say Lecce?
No, you didn't say.
Okay,
You said
Lecce.
4.
I'll go 5. And Pisa finally.
5.5.
I'll give them a 6.5. I think not enough to stay up, but they did some decent business.